I've recently realized that listening to non-cyclists share their opinions about cycling is a huge time waster. In fact, it's annoying. I tend to not have strong opinions about things that I don't know much about. That's why you don't hear me talk about knitting. So I'm confused why cycling evokes strong opinions sometimes, and here's what they usually say. Cycling is dangerous. Cyclists are a nuisance on the road. Cycling is all about racing. It is too hot to bike. I live in the Philippines. Cycling is an expensive sport. Why do cyclists all wear tight-fitting clothing? So I'm quickly gonna address all of these. First on the list, cycling is dangerous. Look, any form of exercise has risks. When you play basketball, there's a very real risk of tearing a ligament. Lifting weights can cause muscle and joint damage. Running can ruin your knees. Heck, even video games can have long-term effect on your eyesight. I know it's not an exercise, but you get the idea. I think what people don't realize is that there's a risk in anything that you do, but the risk of injuries and even death in whatever exercise you choose tends to be really small, especially if you know how to do it right. What annoys me the most is that most of these people who say that cycling is dangerous or who say that, you shouldn't run because it's bad for the knees, these people tend to not have an exercise routine, and they blame those risks of injury, risks of death as a reason why they don't do those exercises. Now, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, the harmful effects of not getting enough physical activity are increased risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even cancer. This frustrates me because I feel like I'm getting to an age where I am going to slowly start to see many of my friends, many of my peers succumb to all sorts of diseases that could have been easily prevented by some exercise. I think Peter Attia said it best.
Going from no exercise to 3 hours a week approximately reduces your all-cause mortality, that is to say death by every cause, by 50% at any moment in time. So if you're standing there asking, what's the probability I'm going to die this year? Well, we can sort of actuarially figure that out. You get to cut that number in half by simply going from 0 to 3 hours exercise a week if you're a non-exerciser.
So if you don't want to cycle, whatever, just do some sort of exercise, because I will take that 50% reduction in chances to die any day. Cyclists are a nuisance on the road. Most people who point this out feel like drivers or people with cars own the road. Now, the truth is the road is for everyone, not just cars. Here in the Philippines, the roads also happen to be the sidewalk because there are many roads that don't have sidewalks here. So, the roads in the Philippines are for the cars, correct? For the motorcycles, for the cyclists, for pedestrians, for dogs, for chickens. You find all of those people and animals using the road in the Philippines. To be honest, I'm not even angry that it is so inconvenient to drive here in the Philippines. I'm hoping that this inconvenience will spur the people in charge to make the whole infrastructure better. Maybe we could start with really good public transportation and finally get away from making our commute so car-centric. Let's get away from that. Because the best cities in the world are walkable cities, and if you'll notice, these are cities that make using the cars super inconvenient. Places like Singapore. And yes, there are cyclists who are idiots on the road, just like there are drivers who are idiots on the road as well. So let's not generalize. Next on the list, cycling is all about racing. This is forgivable and really is the fault of the bike industry. Cycling for the most part is marketed as racing. Whether that be road racing, triathlons, gravel racing, mountain bike racing, enduro, whatever, it's all marketed as racing. But the truth is, cycling is much more than that. It's a great way to stay fit. It is a great way to explore a place. It is a great way to commute from point A to point B. And also, it's a great way to race. But it's not all about racing. And us cyclists should do a better job of making cycling more inclusive. I don't like it when new cyclists are boodled or tricked into trying a route that is too difficult for them. At best, it motivates the cyclists to train more and do better. At worst, it discourages them from cycling and pushes them away from the sport forever. I think we can all agree that the more people we can get on bikes, the better. It is too hot to cycle. Again, I live in the Philippines, so I hear this quite a lot. But if you look at our rides, for most of our rides we get up super early, many times the sun hasn't even risen yet, and we roll out our bikes just as the sun starts to peak at the horizon. And for most rides, unless it is a super long ride, we are done well before it gets hot. And this is why you see many people post photos of their bikes in the morning, maybe with a nice background with a beautiful sun coming up. Because honestly, it's pretty nice to be outside early in the morning. Cycling is an expensive sport. Just like any hobby, it can be an expensive sport, but it doesn't have to be. Look, I have a neighbor here and he just gets on his clunker mountain bike that must have been around since the 90s, and he doesn't wear any fancy cycling clothing. I don't even think he wears a helmet, and he just does a couple of laps on the road, gets his really quick exercise in, and to be honest, I'm not even sure he is breaking a sweat or anything, but he bikes every day, and I can assure you he is spending close to zero on his bicycle every day, and he seems to enjoy it. But at the other end of the spectrum, you have guys spending an amount of money that could be used as a down payment to a very nice car just to save a couple of kilograms off their bike. I get it. Nice bikes are fun and nice to have, but you don't need to spend that much money on a bike. To be fair, there aren't many hobbies that are dirt cheap. You can spend a lot on any hobby, but you don't need to go overboard if you love a sport like cycling. If you know where to look, you can find a lot of good deals. One place that I like to go is Cycle Meeting at their Facebook page, facebook.com/cycle meeting. They are a very good online bike shop. They've sent me many things in the past 2 years, and I really like dealing with them. They have very nice, very affordable, and in many cases, very hard to find bicycle accessories. They've got so much stuff on their page. Everything for the budget-conscious cyclists to the ones who are looking for some fancy, nice bling bike stuff. Thanks, Cycle Meeting, for sponsoring the vlog. Why do cyclists always wear tight-fitting clothing? So not every cyclist does this, but yeah, it's a bit weird. Arrow, but weird. I think the best way to change someone's mind about cycling is to bring them out on a bike ride and just let them enjoy what it feels like to be outside on a bike. And I feel like they're gonna discover the beauty of cycling. Just don't boodle them. So have you had any interactions with non-cyclists about cycling? How did it go? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear more from me, I release a newsletter called Villain. It's basically a weekly newsletter of things that inspire me and things that I've been thinking about that week. So here's the link, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Alright, next vlog soon.